Buena Familia is your favorite Puerto Rican Brooklyn Philly here, and I'm at the laundromat, right? So I thought I'd jump on here real quick because of the Capricorn full moon. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was about like 15 minutes into a video on my iPhone, and then it said it was camera full storage. There's been something about that. I have to go get that situated finally at like the phone store. I'm over it. So I jumped on the iPad, and like I said, I heard a message for this Capricorn full moon. Now, prior to turning on the camera, also, it was a big thing about bringing up doing the laundry, right? It's interesting. Easier laundry in the background. It's saying create an account. So they made it to where you can kind of like utilize an app. So something about it's going to be easier to do laundry, but I don't think it's talking about physical, literal laundry. There's something about, I'm hearing airing out the laundry. Now I'm hearing, I'm sorry, mama. I never meant to hurt you, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet, so there may be some mother wounding. We are still in Cancer season. This Capricorn moon is bringing up to the surface, from what I'm understanding in my personal life and what I've been gathering up to this point, is that it's kind of like the culmination and the ending of this cycle before you enter into this new phase, this new chapter, right? I'm here, get out your pen. You didn't necessarily have control about how the way your life began, but you damn sure have control about the way your story can end and should end, right? The power is in your hand. Now I'm hearing the power in the pen. Now I'm hearing about the Quran, and how and the surah that is addressing when the angel Jibril met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and told him about the power of the pen, and saying that I gave you the power of the pen, right? Interesting. These downloads didn't come in the first original recording, but there was something about doing the laundry, and I explained how when you do laundry, right, you're taking out the stains, you're taking out odors, you're washing, you're cleansing, right? Things that maybe were soiled and sweated out, and you're refreshing, you're renewing, right? So there's something about that. What else? Thank you, Spirit. Yes, I'm not an astrologer, but again, because I'm interested for my own edification, I have been looking at and listening to various little readers that are astrologers, and one in specific, I don't remember the young lady's name. I do apologize for that. If I can remember, I'll link her on the bottom. Even though I suggest you do your own research, you know, yeah, I'm hearing that this has to be something that you do, right? Like, so getting into this next cycle, it is about, it's participatory, right? This is why these other things are coming up, these last triggers. So if you're feeling like you've been triggered and things are coming up, you're feeling emotional, maybe like traumas, past childhood experiences, maybe even conflicts in relationships, maybe familial and partners. They're all are intentionally bringing up those cycles that you have healed, but these are like the last minute residues or the ending residues, right? Those little stains that need to, those final stages that need to brought up so that you can address them, look at them, and understand them from this perspective, on this level, close that chapter to then begin anew with the next chapter, right? And then I lost my train of thought, but what I channeled also, oh, the astrologer, I apologize, thank you, Spirit. What this specific astrologer brought up, which resonated for me, I'm not sure if it would resonate for you, but they're telling me to share it, is that this Capricorn full moon is literally the culmination or the ending of the last 16 years where Pluto was significant, and Pluto being in part of death and rebirth. So for many, for the last 16 years, it has been transforming and you have been experiencing maybe tower after tower, death and rebirth after death, which is normal, right? I mean, you're always, that's the way it is, right? It's death and rebirth, death, life and rebirth, right? So, but that they've been significant, and they have, depending on, of course, your astrological signs and the points in your chart, for each one they have pinpointed specific areas. Like for myself, one of the things where she was very correct was it did address for me, and I have changed my health, right? My nutrition in terms of the way I see it, like, so for example, I haven't eaten pork in terms of like my normal diet was very much pork filled, because as a Puerto Rican, right, growing up on pernil and stuff like that, but I would say about 8-9 years now. In August, it'll be about 2 years I don't eat chicken. I've really cut down dramatically on turkey and beef. So it's more sporadic. I've let go of like eggs and milk. So for me, she was right on the money when it addressed health in one aspect, and that was regarding like one part, because they addressed your sun, moon, and rising. In another aspect, my one-on-one relationships with that house, and in another aspect, I forget, but so there's something about that. They're admonishing you, if you're interested, to kind of look through your astrological chart or review maybe some astrology videos, because they're significant during this time. There's some really important transits that are pivotal at this time, and that many of us who are alive at this time will not encounter again, based on the time span of certain planets and things of that nature. Again, I'm not an astrologer, but this is what I'm hearing. Then, prior to starting the video, I heard the quote, and I'll read it. It is, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." Lao Tzu, who is a Chinese philosopher, who was a Chinese philosopher, so it's a Chinese proverb. And when you look him up, he was a Chinese philosopher and writer. He seems to be the father of, the founder of Taoism, and is considered a deity in his religious, depending. And he also was the author of Tao Te Ching. Give me 1 second, because they wanted me to make sure I bring this up. And so Tao Te Ching intends to lead students to a return to their natural state in harmony with Tao. And it's a 2,400-year-old reminder that today, as then, every one of us has a choice to practice self-awareness and exercise our own power in and over the world. So again, it's very prevalent. There's something to just that whole philosophy and that concept. If you want to kind of, get the cliff notes I'm hearing and look up a synopsis of it, of Tao itself. I don't know why that's being significant. I remember the definition, but then I forgot. So they're telling me to look it up. So the absolute principle underlying the universe, combining within itself the principles of yin and yang, and signifying the way or code of behavior. So that's Tao. That's in harmony with their natural order. Yeah, with the religion of Taoism. So that's interesting, right? Because, I'm hearing in this new chapter that you're entering, it is, this is a message for those of you who have been doing the work, who have been working on healing, right? Whether you want to call it your inner child, those past wounds. One of the things that, oh God, they're saying so many messages. Tranquila. So one message I heard was Mediumship 101 Maryland. I mean, I was told that directly. So you know how, I mean, we claim, and many of us profess to be mediums or to believe in mediumship, which is a pseudoscience that indicates is an ability of a person to talk to the dead, right? Or familiar spirits. And one of the things I heard for myself, and they're telling me to share it, is that Mediumship 101 confirmation begins with being a medium, right? Becoming that intermediary where you're able to hear those dead spirits within you, where you're able to address and listen to those dead spirits, those ghosts of the past that you have relegated and suppressed into your subconscious, as hearing Carl Jung would speak of, right, when we're talking about the shadow aspect, where we would have just suppressed it and dismissed it or rejected it, and you becoming the medium to because those spirits, you know, are rattling their chains, are haunting this house, this temple, and saying, we refuse to be ignored, we refuse to be dismissed, we refuse to be rejected. You will hear us out, we will be heard, and we won't leave you alone until you hear us, right? So this message is for people who have been dealing, right? And they're not dealing, right? That's I'm hearing la. That's Arabic for no. Not dealing, right? Because it's not something to be dealt with, right? Because kind of like what Taoism is claiming is this harmony, right, between both the yin and the yang, the light and the shadow. And in order for it to be harmony, that means I have to accept that my shadow and my light are both one, and both one within me, right? And both are a part of me. So if I'm trying to deal with or relegate it as something that needs to be exorcised, right? Like exorcism, like cast out of me, or, you know, that is bad somehow, then I'm denying a part of me, or I'm saying a part of me is quote unquote bad. And no, I'm all good, I'm whole, I'm one. All of me has to be in harmony. Those places and spaces that maybe for different reasons, right, different upbringing, different perceptions, different whatever, that I've been taught to look at or to feel ashamed of or whatever, you know. And I'm here and give the example sort of like with feminine sexuality, right? We're taught as women not to, you know, to display too much of our feminine, of our sexual desires or something, for fear of having a reputation of like a Tatiana or something like that, right? But that's a mental thing, right? No, the reality is that it would be a very healthy thing for me to be able to know my body, to know what I like, what I want, and to be able to express it fully and wholly and confidently to my partner or my spouse, right? And most importantly to myself. So there is this first being a medium of your own soul, right? And you know, I'm hearing don't jump ahead to PhD where you're wanting to talk to your ancestors and to other dead spirits and familiars, because, you know, if you know like I know, they will be pushing you to address those spirits within you first. Then I heard, I hope you're following me. I had to text it to myself because I wrote it down. So then I heard slow motion process. It's okay to ease into it. Kind of going back to the Chinese proverb that the journey of 10,000 miles begins out with one step, right? So, you know, to slow down, slow down, that it's okay, that it is a process, right? That it's okay to ease into it. That healing and addressing anxiety or regulation of our nervous system, right? So then I got that based on our experiences, particularly if we experience traumatic events in our childhood, teens, or whatever age or stage, that would then just cause nervous system dysregulation, for many PTSD, which I think is false, because in order for it, and this is something I claim, I've never heard anybody else say this, so this is my thing that Spirit gave to me. Post-traumatic stress disorder, to me, is BS, particularly in my communities. I just heard 911 is a joke in my town, because in order for it to be post, that means I would have had to have been given the ability to remove myself from the trauma, to then, in order to deal with the disorder. So for example, for war veterans, they left the war ended, and they returned them back to quote unquote home, and then deal, through therapy, psychologists, medications, yada yada yada, like an array. And that's not, the yada yada is not to dismiss it, it's a very serious issue. But I'm just saying that would be kind of like the quote unquote one of the processes, right? But for most of us, there is no post. Where the F is the post, right? We're constantly in the trauma, because, many of us don't have the resources and the finances to remove ourselves from the very toxic environment that is keeping us sick. So there's very little wiggle room for posts. So for those of us who can, even in those dire circumstances, make the advances that we make, that's why I believe they're saying slow down, give yourself grace, understand that this healing shit is real, and depending on who you are and where you are, there are variables bigger and systems than you that also play a major part. So there was something really big about that, and making sure that I stressed that. And then it gave me examples of, Spirit gave me examples of both of two different types of coping mechanisms, right? So on one hand, many of us cope, and I know I've been there, through drugs, sex, shopping, alcohol, passive aggressive, a whole bunch, just to name a few. And then gossiping, fighting, causing chaos, confirmation. And then some of us, which would be considered quote unquote low vibrational or not very beneficial, because it would further impact the rooted issue, right? Whatever the root issue is that's causing the dysregulation in the first place, and the anxiety in the first place, that would further exacerbated those type of coping mechanisms, because at best they would numb temporarily, but then you would have to wake back up to the reality that you're still in the same ditch or hole, and maybe depending on the numbing, right? Like if it's drugs, or now maybe you're pregnant, now maybe you have an STD, now maybe you done woke up in the gutter somewhere, and now you're probably arrested because you're fighting, or because you was gossiping. Now you know what I mean? Whatever. So it didn't help in any way. But then there are other coping mechanisms like exercising, meditation, journaling, talk therapy, yoga, dancing, walking, better nutritional choices that could assist and would be beneficial, right? Or considered higher vibrational for you. But then I heard, but either can also then be used to disassociate or escape too, even the higher vibrational ones, because we still would have to initially address what's at the core, right? That is causing us or needing us to go to a coping mechanism in the first place. I hope you follow. I've heard they follow you just fine. This tribe is on fire. This is that raised different tribe. This is that tribe, this familia that is the ones for life, right? O-N-E, own nothing, everything. Because you understand that we literally own nothing. Because when we pass away from this earth, right, this body decomposes to dust, to dirt, and then yet while we're living, while we're breathing, we're responsible for everything, right? So we shouldn't be, you know, violating this earth while we're here on it as well. So anyway, what I heard was that even if you still may find yourself in dealing with the root and in utilizing coping mechanisms, that some of those higher vibrational coping mechanisms, you can probably, you know that some of it is part of like still disassociating or a form of escapism a little bit. And this is what, like I'm hearing, this is what is addressing in this Cancerian, right? This Capricorn full moon is bringing to the surface, right? Teasing that out. But that it was okay, you know, and it reminded me of someone I love very much who told me that when they were going through a very difficult time and reached out for professional assistance, that their therapist or psychologist, I apologize, I forget, had suggested to them, because they were self-medicating with cannabis at the time to help with their anxiety and the overwhelming of all the other issues that they were dealing with at the time, that they actually suggested not to stop smoking the weed because of everything else that was going on, that not to concern themselves with that right now, and they thought that that would actually exacerbate and maybe make things worse, right? So it's interesting that that example come up, because then I heard that as a result of the trauma and the experiences that we have endured, right, whether it was during our childhood, whether it's what we saw with our parents or our guardians growing up in our communities, a culmination and a combination, I just heard of all the above for many. Now I heard the ACEs, right, the adverse childhood experiences, which most Black and brown communities and impoverished white communities as well have experienced most of those ACEs, unfortunately. But what I heard was that as a result of those experiences, we've gone into survival mode, and in that survival mode, our body being what it is for us, right, wanting us to survive, we're filled with chemicals and like hormones, right? Kind of like when you go exercise, you can help produce more dopamine and serotonin, right? Those happy hormones. Or if you eat cherries, you can help produce more melatonin to kind of calm you down and go to sleep. But because of the survival mode that we go into based on the dysregulation of the nervous system, don't lose me, we go into either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and a lot of us stay stuck there. And I know for many of us, I know for myself, I was stuck. It's like what I heard was like when someone keeps their foot on the pedal of the gas and it's just like, that's the freeze state that like we kind of get stuck in. And as a result, your body kind of put together a chemical cocktail that you became addicted to, that you needed to like go back and get a hit, it became an addiction. So, it's kind of like, think about making a cocktail, a drink that's filled with dopamine, serotonin, cortisol, just the same of, just to name a few, and your body became addicted to it, and then you began to crave it. So like, to not beat yourself up, because now you've had to unpack and then learn to regulate your system on your own. And it's kind of like somebody learning to calm and relax themselves again with like volumes, but instead of volumes, you begin to look for healthy coping mechanisms to calm your system again and create that hormone like acetylcholine, I think choline it called, and also like melatonin, right, to help you to go to sleep. And yeah, it's coming so fast. I hope I'm not losing people. And now my passcode doesn't want to. Okay. So, there was something else. Sorry, guys. I just want to pull it up real quick. I feel like it's important. I don't want to miss everything that Spirit gave me. Oh, acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, yeah. It's like that's that relaxing hormone that we produce, but that when we have been so amped up on that cocktail that we created with the dopamine, the serotonin, and we so amped up that then we have to kind of induce those kind of relaxing things with like a volume, and people get just to name like an example, whether it's the marijuana, whether or like feeding melatonin or something like that to help us go to sleep and help us to relax. And then what I heard was it gets so bad depending on the individual, the situation, and then how it's exacerbated by those lower behavioral coping mechanisms. It becomes I heard a Molotov cocktail, and I had to look that up because I kept hearing Spirit tell me Molotov, and I kept thinking, is it Mazel Tov, right? Like that Jewish, and it was like, no, Molotov. And when I looked it up, remember, Molotov cocktail is like when you take a bottle, you fill it with flammable substances, you make a wick out of like a cloth, and you douse that cloth too with the same flammable substance, and then you light it and you throw it and you set shit ablaze. I heard boom, blow everything up, right? So that's what it was talking about, that then we are stuck in like this perpetual cycle of just doing that over, right? Whether you're calling it self-sabotage or whatever, right? And then I heard like give the example of like, let's say, for example, you're in a relationship now as an adult, right? And the relationship can initially start off very calm and very peaceful, but that bothers you because you're so used to, as a child, you were used to your parents or your guardians or whoever raised you having these volatile arguments that set the whole, house ablaze, literally. And now as an adult, you need that constant hit of that dopamine, that serotonin, that cortisol, all that needs to be sparked up by causing, through self-sabotage, some type of problem in the relationship, some type of argument, some type of chaos, right? If you're so used to being rejected as a child and not emotionally, held and loved, now you have to create something, even if the person is now holding you and hugging you. It's like, no, I have to create something that would cause them to reject me because I am deep down, I believe, unlovable, right? Even though you're not saying that aloud. Again, that's why they're bringing me back to Mediumship 101. You would have to go back to talking to those dead spirits first, you know what I'm saying? And addressing those dead spirits because they're your lifeline. They're you, you're them, you're all one. And they're refusing to be ignored and denied. And we're 30 minutes in practically, I just heard, and I didn't even pull any cards, even though when I kept shuffling the Five of Pentacles, so something with lack mentality is being healed right now. I just heard, in the name of Jesus, right? So that's for somebody out there. Five of Pentacles, and then the card out of my bochinchera deck. Bochinchera is like the gossiper in Spanish, the one who spills the tea. She kept popping out that everyone has friends and foes, right? So there's something about understanding that, not taking it so personal, knowing that maybe that's a part of life that no matter, so that's what I'm hearing now, that even in this next season you're going to go into, like, not, don't fool yourself, right? Don't think that, oh, I'm closing out this chapter, these past quote unquote 16 years of all this drama or whatever, and leaving all these people that I cut off behind that were so toxic in my life. No, in this next level there's going to be both friend and foe as well. And I've shuffled the mess out of these cards already, but I'll do it again 3 times on camera to see what the tarot. And wait, they're saying look at my notes. I might have missed something because I went into the Molotov cocktail, setting it ablaze, but there was something. Oh yeah, then not to beat yourself up. That so for example, if you ever smoked cigarettes, or even had an addiction to anything, you see that, you know, you wake up in the morning and you're constantly craving it. And it doesn't even have to be for drugs. I heard, so caffeine, right? Maybe your thing is coffee, and maybe not coffee, tea, right? Or that soda fix, right? That your body became used to that chemical and it now then craves it. So give yourself grace, acknowledge how far you have come, right? How much you have grown, all of the work that you have done, the resilience and the strength that it has taken. What else? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Yes, and that again, even if you feel, oh, I haven't fully healed this, and how am I going to the next chapter with that or whatever, one is one step from a 10,000 mile journey, right? One step at a time. So it's an ongoing process, I'm hearing. And that 2, I'm hearing your ancestors, divinity, would rather you continue to incorporate those quote unquote higher vibrational coping mechanisms, such as maybe looking at your nutrition, walking, exercising, journaling, talk therapy, yoga, dance, right? Because at least they aid and assist with healing and addressing those places and spaces, as opposed to self-sabotaging and suppressing more. I hope that makes sense. And yes, I'm hearing, just pull, because now my battery's dying. So maybe this was the message. Maybe it wasn't so much about pulling a card, but I'm going to see, Spirit, what message look what came out. The Sun and 9 of Pentacles. I mean, that's freaking beautiful, y'all. The Sun and 9 of Pentacles, right? So again, and I said it in the beginning. Oh no, I said it in the other, in my nose is itching. Every time that happens, ancestors is present. They say, we fire, we here. Listen, pay attention. Pon atención. So this Leo season, this 8-8 portal, this, I'm going to say not just 8-8, this Leo season, this new chapter in your life that you are embarking upon is transformational. It's going to illuminate, first of all, like the sun so much. It's going to bring so much warmth into your life, right? It's going to bring so much growth into your life, right? Every attribute or aspect, you know, I just heard, go look up the way the sun, the importance of the sun to our planet is proximity, how it helps, how we couldn't even be alive sitting here today without it, right? Now I just heard on the 4th day, right? I just heard a sister the other day, she quoted that on the 4th day, you know, if you go by the Christian Bible, it says in Genesis, on the fourth day, although there was already light, God created another light called the sun, right? Four meaning peace, stability, security, right? There's this sense of stability, this sense of security. I just heard this sense of blessed assuredness, this verily, verily, I know, right? This sun that is going to illuminate, to warm, to grow so many aspects of you and your life is going to be mind-blowing, right? And then I heard, yes, it's bringing you into this level of independence, right? For many of you, financial independence, but Pentacles is not always only about money, right? It's this, I'm just hearing this independence within oneself, right? Because we have mastered this mediumship 101. We are now entering into another chapter and into another life. We are now taking ownership. We are becoming and understanding that we are the authors and finishers along with our divinity of our lives, right? And that we have everything, right? Kind of like Taoism is telling you that you have the control over and in this world, right? So I keep thinking of the video I did before this, but in the last video I said that there was something about letting you know that you may have not had control about how your life began, right? And for some people say that you do, but maybe you don't believe that, right? You believe I didn't pick what family to come into, I didn't pick my class and all this other stuff. But what they're saying is whether you believe you did or you didn't, you do have control over how your story is going to end, right? And Still I Rise by Maya Angelou, right? And at the bottom of that, Knight of Pentacles. So I heard it's been slow motion, baby. I know it's been, and like I said, if we believe in that astrologer, according to her, shit, this phase has been 16 years. That's a long time, right? And then I just heard 7, July, 16, 6 plus 1, 7. And now we're going into 8. And that was confirmation when that just came up. And then it broke down La Bochinchera into 3 different piles. And I already pre-shuffled these, and let's ask Bochinchera how would she like to close us out. Look at this, 2024 year of intuition. That is a big one. That is a really big one. I'm hearing that because the astrologer talked about that for me as one of my signs. Again, look into your astrology for this Capricorn moon and moving forward in 2024. But that this is the time, right? And that's part of this independence, right? It's really now because you are dealing with all of that, not dealing with, because you've learned to love and accept all aspects of you, because you refuse to continue to ignore and reject and dismiss those aspects of you, because those aspects of you loved you enough to continue to cry out like the blood that cried out from Abel and Cain, right? Because it refused, and then you finally listened. That now this you've gained more confidence in listening to your intuition, and that is going to be key, very pivotal for the rest of 2024 for you to continue to do so, right? They're saying go to the next stack because I feel like taking one from each. Bochinchera, thank you so much, Mama. Man, she said, but you ain't hear this from me because I ain't the one that gossip, right? I always think about that from a living color, Miss Benita. I'm seeing my age now. Oh, wait, several ones came out. Befriend the shadow. Can I make this the fuck up? See what I'm saying? Yes, and I cuss. Okay, I curse, yes. Befriend the shadow. Your light shines on their darkness, and working 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. That shit is flipping. So many of you have been working 9 to 5 and you're about to become entrepreneurs. Okay? That was for somebody. Take it as it resonates. And then the third pile, thank you, Bochinchera. Thank you so very much. Right? Then we did. They talking about you, karmic contracts. And now I'm hearing it's not all negative, right? Because when I just heard they talking about you karmic contracts, it's like it's karmic that they have to talk. It's almost what I heard was you're being talked about in rooms that you don't even have any idea you're being talked about in yet. Because you're about to enter into spaces with like that entrepreneurship and stuff where, you know, you couldn't even imagine. And this was being talked about before you even knew it was being even talked about. Life is too short and too precious to just accept good enough. Amen. This is part of the journey, right? And I heard that is it. That is the message. I don't want the camera to cut off. I am so grateful. This is the message for this Capricorn full moon for us this evening. I want to take the time. I'm getting like a little emotional right now. But to thank your guys, your ancestors in divinity, my guys, my ancestors in divinity, for this beautiful message. I'm excited. I have such a spirit of anticipation moving forward. I know, listen, I know how hard it can be. I get how this mind wants to go up and down. How, you know, one minute you want to feel like, okay, thank you, I have all this hope. And then another minute something to come or something to happen that'll take your very breath and make you doubt everything, right? But just hold on, hang on. I'm so proud of you. I'm hearing they're so proud of you. You've come so, from such a, you've accomplished so much. You've come so far. And I just said, I just can't give up now, right? Come too far from where I started from. I know I can't sing. Nobody told me the road would be easy, but I can't believe I can't believe you brought me this far to leave me, right? To leave me now, right? Yes, that's by Mary, the sisters. Go listen to that for somebody. And to end, if you like the way that I read, subscribe. If it touched you, I hope it did. You resonated with this and it helped you in some way. That is my hope and my desire always. Reciprocity and energy is a big thing, right? I just poured out for 41 minutes, 42, and minimum alike, right? That's that reciprocity. And if you think that this can help somebody else, share the video. And I look forward to seeing you on the next time, and have a beautiful one on purpose. You heard? I love you.